So we're here to talk about, will grocery stores go extinct? And that's a very sexy question. I don't think anyone on this panel really...
Just one thing, if you're having conversations in the back or in the side, if you can take your conversations downstairs so that we can have full attention for this panel and the recording can be quiet, that would be awesome. That's all.
So I don't think anyone on this panel really does want grocery stores to go extinct. But I think it's a fair question because, we have things like Amazon buying Whole Foods, and we have headlines, about the retail apocalypse and a lot of mainstream store sales going down every quarter. So we're going to address mostly the consumer demands here. And I want to start with Chris. Chris, you come to us from Whole Foods. So can you tell us a little bit about how the path to the consumer has shifted and what Whole Foods has recently done to address some of these new demands that everyone in the industry is really working to combat?
Sure. Yeah, obviously I'm a little biased here, but I think the low-hanging fruit here obviously is the way we've been able to utilize Amazon Prime to take online orders and app-based ordering and increase our delivery efficiency, and that's been great. I mean, obviously, I think that was always kind of the carrot that Whole Foods was kind of reaching for, and Amazon's really allowed us to take that next step towards that. So that's the easy answer, but I'm really interested in some other things we're doing to kind of fit into the current landscape of the way people are eating. I look at the way people are eating in food halls these days. I think it's a really interesting dynamic that's shifted over the last 5 to 10 years. How 10 years ago, Whole Foods kind of was a food hall. It was the place you go, you get salad, you get pizza, you get a burger, a taco, and people really want more diversity in what they're eating these days. So we kind of figure if you can't beat them, join them, and that's sort of a direction that we're really heading. Is instead of us doing salad, have a local vendor doing salad. Instead of us doing pizza, have a Roberta's or something like that do pizza for us, and really create that food hall environment within a store. And I think that's definitely kind of the future of the way people are eating inside of grocery stores, for one, but also just food halls in general and places like this even.
But you've also been doing a lot with customer experience inside the stores. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that have been happening in this area, for example?
Yeah, I mean, in this, I think something we've really been striving towards is making the experience more interactive. Clearly people can shop online much more easily than they did in the past. So in an effort to stay relevant and make the trip to the grocery store really worthwhile, we've really been trying to make the store a little bit more interactive. So yeah, I mean, even people that we know who are displaying at this event, we did a mushroom farm in one of our stores, an indoor mushroom farm with a brand called Smallhold. That was really cool. It's very interactive for the customer to watch mushrooms growing inside of a grocery store. Recently we installed a machine that mills its own nut milk. So you walk up, you say, okay, almond, unsweetened, and you put the bottle in, it pours it for you. It's very interactive compared to just grabbing items off a shelf, which you could do online these days. So I think we're looking more and more into that space to make the experience more interactive. And there's a customer service aspect that we still enjoy as well, but that tech aspect has really allowed us to make the store feel more interactive to the customer. So
Lauren, can you tell us about your work at IDEO? And this really addresses a lot of some of the the customer experience, the design elements, and I'd love to hear about some of the trends that you're noticing and where technology really can impact grocery stores in a way that consumers enjoy.
Sure. So IDEO is a design and innovation firm, and we work really across sectors, including with retail brands and also, of course, with retail spaces. And we take a very human-centered approach. So how do we design for what people want and people need in a way that people will really resonate with? So this question's really sort of at the heart of a lot of the way we are designing and thinking about design, because obviously technology is really changing the way we interact with food at many, many levels. We can order food and have it delivered right to our doorstep, and that's a hell of a lot easier than schlepping around a bunch of bags on the subway and across the city. But when we order food, we lose a lot as well. We lose that moment of being able to have a more intimate selection of the food we choose, especially on the perimeter where we want to have a more personal interaction with our produce. I think what we just heard from the farm conversation certainly is a big part of that. But we also lose a really important community aspect when we don't have that retail experience. And I think what we're seeing more and more through our research and our work is that above all else, especially with all the technological advances that we have, people want connection and want community. And actually, these physical spaces are a really important place that can exist. So what we're seeing is, in a lot of ways, the potential for the grocery store of the future is, as much as anything, smaller, much more intimate opportunities to have, I'd say, more curated experiences, and yet I don't mean it in a high-end way necessarily. It doesn't always have to be the expensive, the fancy. It can actually be much more distributed and sort of reach into hopefully the far corners and the food deserts of our society, bringing food to the people who need it most, as we've also been hearing about today. So I think there's a really important tension between that sort of social, very human component and the technology that can enable that. So we're seeing facial recognition and conveyor belts that can really quickly bring the food you want and deliver it to your house in 20 minutes, and that's great, enabling you to hang back and have some beers with your friends and use the physical connection opportunity, kind of using technology to get all the other stuff out of the way.
Ben, I want to go to you. So you come to us from the Meat Hook, which is a butcher in Brooklyn and also a specialty store. So can you tell us about, I think being a specialty store, you're in a really interesting intersection, kind of what Lauren's talking about. It's a community-driven experience. Can you tell us a little bit about, where you see the opportunities for your business and, where the right kind of tech can take you?
I don't know where tech can take us.
No, we're good.
We focus on kind of being, I guess, antithetical to that almost. What Lauren was saying about kind of the human interaction is kind of what we based our entire business model on. So when you come, we've kind of focused all of our efforts, and I guess this is maybe why I'm on the panel, we're kind of like the, pre-tech version, I guess, of just like old school grocery stores, but everyone at our shop is trained on everything, which isn't good from a cost perspective to train every single person that works with us on, sausage making and produce and cutting cheese and working the register, but it, for us, creates a very community-based experience. That means every single person, when you walk into the store, can answer any single question that you have, and that, for us, is a real investment. That's kind of where we're putting all of our eggs is in that basket, is that there's always going to be convenience, and then there's going to be experience, and we kind of focus on the experience, mostly because that's what we can afford to do. But I think there is that hunger for that, to be able to walk into a place and to be able to, whether it be your butcher or your cheesemonger or whoever, be like, how did you like that thing you had last week? I remember you. I know what you got. How was it? Did you like it? If not, we can guide you in another direction. It's very curated, to keep on Lauren's terminology. So I think that's, if you can't really afford the tech, that's where you kind of have to focus, is experience and community and really building those bridges with your community, and you really can't really turn your focus away from that community aspect in any way.
So what you're saying is you don't really, need the tech, especially on the back end, that I think a lot of the bigger box stores are really, needing to kind of keep their economics working.
Basically, I guess, yeah. That in a nutshell, I'm a butcher, so you show me a computer and I don't even know what to do with it. So you could show me this technology and be like, what do you want from me? I don't know how to use this, so.
So I think a big part of this conversation too, in terms of, what consumers want from grocery stores is that local food aspect. And I just don't think we can have this conversation without talking about diversity of products. So Cheryl, I want to go to you at PieShell. And if you guys don't know PieShell, it's a platform that crowdsources funding for food startups. And most of these are, CPG companies. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I would love to hear from you. How do you think stores need a change to keep consumers coming in, and what products most excite you today?
Yeah, so just to expand a little, we do anything food or beverage focused. So actually, we brought 4 wonderful companies with us this trip that are very tech focused, but we do have a CPG. But at our core, we're an innovation platform where people are trying to get in front of, how do they market to someone and how do they push that out there? And so, really putting themselves out there on our platform, for example, they're getting out in front of tens of thousands of people when we market them, but they also are doing the due diligence to find out about themselves and to find their crowd and who their true customer is. And so But to what everybody's saying, I mean, it is absolutely about community, and that's what people are really getting behind. And the more honest and open and transparent they are with their project on our platform, as an example, that's what really drives that behind them. And, I mean, we do see a lot of projects. We're a highly curated platform, so you can't just show up, which is one of the reasons why we are still knocking 100% success rate in 2 years of business. Every company's reached their goal, but that's because we really make sure that they're walking the walk and talking the talk. Like, so we do see plant forward, we do see sustainable, we do see organic, we see non-GMO, we see those things that they're coming up with. And the ones that are doing it to look cool aren't making it. The ones that it's truly a fiber of what they're doing, and they've left. Like one of our friends, shout out to Our Harvest, they're one of the companies that we brought with us. They're an online farmer's market. And you go on to their e-commerce site, you take a look at stuff today, and 2 days from now, they go to the farm, they pick it up, and they drop it in your door in New York City. I mean, and they've been doing it for 4.5 years. And, but it's all about community, which is why they're working with us, and we're helping them, and we're helping Pilotworks. If anyone wants to take a look at our site, you'll find out about that.
Yes, please tell us about that in a second.
Yeah, so shameless shout out, but it's not for me, it's for everybody at Pilotworks. The members were shut out 3 weeks ago tomorrow, 175 companies put out on the street. We've just launched a platform. I'm hosting it ourselves, and we're raising money. We just put it up. We've already raised over $3,000. We're trying to get them 50, 60, 70. So please share it at a minimum. It's so easy to click share. If you can contribute anything, it's going directly to the members. It is not going to anybody associated with Pilotworks. So please know that your money will be spent wisely.
And what is this going towards? It's going towards rent for them and also inventory, right?
Right, because, I mean, they'd already paid their rent, and they can't have a space. There are some that only distributed, and they've lost inventory, and they've lost jobs. And one person, they created a Slack channel, but it just shows the community came together immediately. And one woman, and we shared her quote on our page, she said, "I'm 8 weeks from giving birth, and I had everything planned out. I'm losing my staff, I'm losing my customers, and I'm losing my business. And that's just not okay." And Mike messaged me 3 minutes after I posted about it on LinkedIn, which was an hour and a half after I got a text saying it had happened. And we immediately are like trying to do it. Mike on his side, I'm a backup dancer, he's trying to actually raise funds to take the kitchen over, to get them back working in Brooklyn. But the project on our platform is to go directly to the members, whether they distribute it or not. But it's all about that community. And those guys, a lot of them are in our pipeline. I've actually run into numerous of them here that look to our platform and because they want to get in front of our audience who are, from media to angels to media to, investors, but also food innovators that want to find new things. And we don't vet the product idea. That's something that's very special to us. And I refuse to do that. I was told you should use sustainable and you should use only organic people and you should da. It's like, look, if I only show you purple unicorns on Tuesday, that's all you can get behind. If I let you see everything that's out there, then all of you are driving the economy forward. And that's what we're seeing. The big CPG guys that are in our pipeline working on projects and reaching out to be connected to the projects on our platform, that's because they are using you, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, as their R&D. They're not putting the guys in the white lab coats and the cinder block rooms anymore. You guys are doing some phenomenal things, and so by voting, either by sharing something or with your dollars, that's how they're learning about these cool new things. And so, we see amazing things. We saw mushroom powder 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh, mushroom powder. It's like, crickets. They're on my table downstairs. I mean, they're kind of a normal thing. That's easy, crickets. But there's so many cool things people are coming up with.
Thank you. So, Lela, I want to also now go to you. You head up sales and partnerships for New York City's Greenmarkets, which is a project with NYC Grow. In what ways has technology bettered the farmers market experience, and what most excites you today?
Yeah, so I have worked both with the Greenmarket Farmers Market programs. Our nonprofit GrowNYC has been in the sustainability game in New York City for almost 50 years, and we're most well known for the Greenmarket Farmers Market, Union Square being the flagship. More recently, I work with a program called Greenmarket Co, which is GrowNYC's nonprofit local food hub and wholesale distributor for fresh regional farm produce and other products like grains and pastured eggs that we're distributing in bulk at affordable wholesale prices. And right now we are working with New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets to build a dedicated food hub facility in Hunts Point, Bronx, that's slated to open in the year 2020, that's going to be dedicated to traceable regional farm products. So it's been a really interesting mix of, I think, very old school, fingers in the dirt and potatoes in crates, with bringing more technology into our toolbox. I think you think about, technology is one tool in the toolbox. It's not going to supplant, good fertile soil, but it's going to enable us to really scale in a way that meets the needs both of the farms that continue to disappear, at a pretty alarming rate, particularly in New York State, as well as, eaters here in New York City, which we're excited to do. In terms of technology, I mean, would you judge me if I said I was really excited? We have a new walkie-talkie in the warehouse this week. But seriously, I mean, it's interesting to see how kind of as we scale up, sometimes the limitations, for instance, of our software and our systems really end up sort of dictating, processes in the warehouse. And so I think that as we move forward, right now we're kind of working on developing and moving towards a new ERP software system. And I think not only the features of that, but really honestly having a collaborative relationship with kind of the company that's providing that is going to be really key, because I think there's really no way to develop this technology until you work with people. We've been in the trenches and we've seen kind of how these things work. I think the other piece that we're really looking forward to in working with Ag and Markets is the new New York State Grown and Certified program. In this kind of farm to table and local food space, local food is no longer new. It's really a growing sector. It's a maturing sector, and I think really now what we're seeing is the innovations and the new developments within this local food sphere. And the New York State Grown and Certified program is a seal that they're rolling out with the state that is going to allow consumers to basically see traceable produce. This cabbage, this dairy product, this yogurt, this apple cider was grown and produced right here in New York State. And not only that, but there are also both food safety and environmental sustainability components to gaining that certification. So I think, coming from that kind of the farmer's market and the root of the farmer's market where food is still so sensual and so primal, and I think that we'll never lose that. Even as we take advantage of technology, we're never going to lose that sense of I want to taste and sniff the food before I buy it. I want to kind of see the soil. I want to kind of talk to the farmer at the farmer's market. But I think that, technology is going to be able to augment that, as we kind of take the next step into bringing local into the supply chain at scale.
Great. So I want to open up these next questions up to the group, so jump in if you have anything, but I also want to let everyone know, if you do have a question, if it's a really, really good question, you want to ask it in front of the audience, or you think maybe it could start a discussion, raise your hand, and maybe we'll have time at the end. So I just want to start about talking about local supply chains. What needs disrupting? Where is technology able to fix a pain point? Is there emerging technology or?
Yeah, one of the things that we see we have so many startups that come to us that, can't get the right size to get to the UNFIs or the rainforests. And so there's a lot of new platforms. Hubba is a discovery platform. Shelfmint is another platform. And Pod Foods are some of the ones that we work very closely with and recommend. Shelfmint is local to New York, great guy. But what they do is they kind of let you put your product out there, and they're trying to disrupt the distribution model, because especially in food and beverage, I mean, unless you're making a potato chip, it's really heavy, and you're shipping it all around the country, God willing, if you're getting any sort of distribution. And so that is something that we're seeing all the time that is just so incredibly hard for these guys. They can maybe find a co-packer or a manufacturer or whatever, but to get and to really scale, to go from I'm putting it in the trunk of my car or an Uber, and delivering it around versus, actually getting that distribution model. And we all know that the distributors take a very, very big cut. And so a lot of guys then go D2C, which is direct to customer, which is great, and then they, charge them for the shipping or whatever, except for the fact that it's hard to shop that way. I'm not going to 40 different sites to buy my groceries. So, some of these consolidation tools, be it, Amazon and stuff like that, those are not necessarily bad things, but how do they get there? And I think, being online is a big thing, but the distribution challenges that they face, specifically in food and beverage, are really hard for them.
Okay, then do you have anything? I know we've talked a lot about the cold storage supply chain and trucking.
Yeah, we did. Well, I kind of want to. Sorry, I kind of wanted to follow up on that because that is like dead on. I think a lot of small business now is still like knocking on doors and word of mouth, and just hearing like asking a friend like, "Hey man, do you know someone that can grow a great beet?" Yeah. And just that's how you find stuff. There's no connector whatsoever. When we opened our business, we literally were almost like knocking on doors upstate, and we would see a cattle farm and would be like, how are they raised? What's going on here? We didn't have another way to do it. There still isn't really another way to do it. And then transportation, transportation sucks. It's like, in a nutshell, like we talked about it a little bit before, but we've kind of built into our business model, we just know our transportation system is going to like go out of business within like 2 years. Like every 2 years, we got to figure it all out again. That's just the way it is. It's not a glamorous business. You usually start your day at like 1 a.m. and then end it at like 7 p.m., somewhere in there. It's pretty grueling. It's pretty thankless, but no one wants to do it. It's like it's a pretty old school business that is pretty ripe for any kind of innovation that we're all, I think, pretty hungry for.
A lot of tried and failed. It's the last mile that kind of pushes them over the edge to not make it. So it's really hard, yeah.
Yeah, if I could add to that really quickly, I would agree. I think transportation, it's not glamorous. I mean, one thing that I think that we see the need for in terms of kind of like the regional freighting of kind of getting these farm products into the city and then to the kind of the end consumer. I mean, we are doing last mile distribution right now, but I think, getting things into the city. So I think that there's an opportunity for platforms and collaboration to be like, this truck is coming in here. Who else is going to jump on this truck? And I would also say very briefly that I think, in the agriculture space, I think some of the innovations that are happening on the farm might be the most exciting things. Things like, people often think of sort of technology as, as being diametrically opposed to what's natural, but, sustainable farmers now have ways you can sort of put, you can have a, weather monitoring strip out in the field, and it's like connected to your phone, and you can, so you can see, kind of what my moisture levels are, and kind of, increase your water conservation that way. So there's a lot going on like that behind the scenes. It's really exciting.
I would just add to that, I think it's coming with all the sort of resources coming into the city, but it's also the opportunity, the potential to send them back, to have a loop of resource exchange. We have a huge opportunity and need to be much smarter about how we're managing waste and how we're exchanging nutrients and bringing all of everything from sort of our food byproducts and food waste back to healthy soil, but also finding ways to totally eliminate all the disposable packaging and use latent infrastructure like empty trucks, and just using technology to enable a much more robust management of resources at every level.
So we only have maybe a minute left, so I've got one more question. Smart kitchens, what do you think about them? What's the future? Are they overhyped?
Oh, I'm such a tech nerd. I love them.
If you guys aren't familiar, this is like the type of tech that, refrigerator knows what's empty and it'll automatically send Amazon. There's a demo in the expo space. Go check it out. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we were at a different tech conference, and they were talking about, that you could basically barcode something out of your pantry and it would know that you would need it, or so smart that it knows these are the 5 ingredients you have in your kitchen and recommend a recipe for you based on what it knows you actually have. I mean, I love anything that makes my life easier, but I think there's a way to incorporate the fact that you want the relationship with the farmers and, using a platform that maybe that's where you're buying it from, where you actually know where it's coming from and the sustainability aspects, but having tech help you, better serve. And it also works a lot to help reduce waste, because food wastes are horrible. And so you don't overbuy and things like that. And it can really keep track of what you do and don't do. And very personalized shopping is what a lot of people look at with smart kitchens.
Any other thoughts? I think that's where we're going to end. Thank you guys so much.